You know, the promise of DeFi, or decentralized finance, is pretty incredible. It basically says that anyone with a bit of crypto can become a market maker, a crypto bank, if you want to call it that. No interviews, no fancy degrees from Wall Street. You just take your assets, drop them in what's called a liquidity pool, which is just a big pot of tokens that other people can trade against, and boom, you start earning fees. But as you might guess, being the bank isn't quite that simple. The real price you pay, well, that's often hidden in the code.
I mean, it sounds almost too good to be true, doesn't it? Just park your crypto, sit back, and watch those fees roll in. But come on, in finance, you know there's no such thing as a free lunch. There's always a risk, always a cost that isn't obvious right away. So what is the hidden catch here? Okay, so the first hurdle most people hit, and yeah, it's often the hard way, is this concept with a kind of strange name, impermanent loss. The easiest way to think about it is like a penalty for providing liquidity when you could have just, well, held onto your assets, or as the crypto world loves to say, hodled.
Now, here's where it gets a little tricky. Impermanent loss doesn't actually mean you've lost money in the traditional sense. Instead, it measures how much less money you have compared to what you would have had if you'd just done nothing at all. It's a pure opportunity cost, and it's all driven by price changes.
Let's make this real with a quick story. So meet Alice. She puts 1 ETH and 100 USDC into a liquidity pool, back when ETH is worth $100. Her total investment, $200. Then ETH goes on a crazy run and quadruples to $400. Now, the pool's price is totally out of sync with the market. So these traders, called arbitrageurs, swoop in, they see the cheap ETH in the pool and start buying it up, rebalancing the pool until its price matches the new market price. When Alice decides to pull her money out, her share of the pool has totally changed. She gets less ETH back, but more USDC. Her stake is now worth $400. That's a great profit.
And that right there is the catch. If Alice had just held on to her original 1 ETH and 100 USDC and done nothing, her bag would now be worth $500. So by providing liquidity, she made $400. Not bad. But that $100 difference, that is her impermanent loss. She gained money, for sure, but she missed out on an even bigger gain.
And this isn't just some hypothetical thing. You can actually measure it. If an asset price doubles, you're looking at a 5.7% loss compared to just hodling, and that's before you even count the fees you might earn. A 4x change, like in Alice's story, that's a 20% loss. The more the price moves up or down, the worse it gets. But is that the whole story? You see, impermanent loss is a really useful starting point, but it's not the whole picture. It just compares your performance to a passive holder. To really understand the risk, we need a sharper tool, one that focuses on who's really winning in this game, those arbitrageurs. And that brings us to a concept called LVR. This quote from a really important academic paper nails it. LVR stands for Loss-Versus-Rebalancing, and what it does is frame the loss differently. It's not just an opportunity cost against doing nothing. It's a direct cost you pay to savvy traders who exploit the fact that the prices in your pool are always just a little bit out of date or stale. So what's LVR comparing you to? Not a passive holder? No. It's comparing you to a perfect, hypothetical trader, a strategy that's always rebalancing its portfolio at the absolute true market price, never getting sniped by arbitrageurs. LVR is literally the money you, the liquidity provider, are leaving on the table, because the protocol running your pool, the automated market maker, or AMM, is just inherently slow. Okay, so let's break this down. Impermanent loss, or IL, compares you to just holding your stuff, and it measures the loss from big market movements. LVR, on the other hand, compares you to a perfect rebalancing strategy, and it pinpoints the loss from your stale prices being picked off by arbitrageurs. It might seem like a small change, but it's a huge shift in thinking. It isolates the exact cost of being a passive market maker. So what makes LVR go up or down? Well, it's basically two things. First, volatility. The wilder the price swings, the more your pool's prices get stale, and the more money arbitrageurs can make at your expense. Simple. The second is how concentrated your liquidity is. Think about it. If you focus all your money in a super tight price range, the pool will trade very aggressively if the price moves even a tiny bit. This is great for traders, but it also means you lose a lot more to arbitrageurs when the price moves against you, and that means a bigger LVR. And all of this brings us to the fundamental question every single liquidity provider has to ask. Okay, you're earning fees from regular traders, that's great, but you're also systematically losing a little bit of money to these arbitrageurs. So when it's all said and done, is it actually profitable?
It all boils down to this really simple equation. Your total profit is the fees you collect minus the total losses from LVR. If the fees are higher than the LVR, congratulations, you're in the green. But if LVR is higher than your fees, you'd probably be better off doing something else. This is the real, measurable trade-off at the very heart of being a crypto bank.
Now, the really cool part is that the protocols themselves are actively designing ways to fight LVR. We're seeing all kinds of clever innovations like concentrated liquidity, which we just talked about, or dynamic fees that actually go up during high volatility to pay you for that extra risk. Some are even using super high frequency price feeds called oracles to constantly update the pool's price, giving arbitrageurs less of a stale target to aim for. The whole game is this constant evolution to try and outsmart the arbitrager.
But here's the final twist. All of these new complex strategies, concentrating your liquidity, restaking your rewards, earning these dynamic fees, they create a dizzying number of taxable events. Every single swap, every reward you claim becomes another line item for the tax authorities. So maybe the real final price of being a crypto bank isn't the LVR you lose to arbitrageurs, but the absolute headache you get trying to prove to the government that you made any profit at all.